Google has been on an absolute tear this year when it comes to algorithms. There's been way more core algorithm updates than any year before, lots of intermediate updates, and a lot of it has spelled a bit of chaos for attorneys, especially those who have banked on getting a lot of organic traffic from Google in the past. So things are absolutely changing, and I want to go through those updates, what it means for attorneys, and most importantly, how you can stay on top of it and get into a very profitable 2025 with Google. Welcome to the Optimized Law Firm podcast. I will be taking you through today. My name is Patrick Carver, and I'm the CEO of Consultation Marketing, where we help law firms grow their business and focus on delivering high ROI strategies for our clients. So we are going to get into a really important topic for law firms today, which is going to be covering a little bit of a recap of all of the algorithm updates that have happened in 2024 and kind of where we are in terms of a state of the union and what law firms can expect moving into 2025. So a little background here. Google has unrolled a lot of core algorithm updates this year and a lot of intermediate or in-between updates. And if you're not totally familiar with this, the algorithm is what dictates the search results within Google. So, when you ever hear about somebody talking about ranking their content, where do I rank? That is all determined by the algorithm that Google has. And usually about 4 times a year, they do what's called a core algorithm update. And that's like, essentially, we're going to make a lot of changes to the algorithm, the way that it scores different content and scores your website, how it will appear in those search results. And so this used to be a more infrequent type of update where it would really shake things up and there would be a lot of changes. It's when they're trying to make something more of a dramatic change for the search results, where they see something that can either be dramatically improved or they're reacting to a trend in terms of how people are ranking content and what's being found in those search results. So when they see there's like some sort of disconnect between what they believe is the best value for the consumer, the people out there searching, and what they're actually producing, and maybe people have found a loophole and are pushing content in a certain way, they're going to make big changes to try and circumvent that and reward a different type of profile when it comes to the content and the websites that are being shown in Google search. So why more this year, right? This has been a really dramatic year in terms of how legal content has ranked. And I would say the biggest issue or biggest thing that's out there is Google AI overviews. So there's been a number of issues. I'm going to go through these in depth, and then we're going to talk about how you can get the best of them and put yourself in a position to win in 2025. But the biggest thing that I would say has happened to law firms, which is not directly talked about in one of these 3 points, is the Google AI overviews. And so it's not an algorithm change, but what's been happening, and we've seen a lot of our sites that we're working on see big changes and forced us to really adapt a number of things with our SEO strategy. But this idea that when you go to Google and you search something, a AI overview comes up now. So it's essentially that space between the search bar and the actual search results is now producing this AI generated summary or resource that is going to cover largely what is below that page. And so this is a really big shift since basically the trade-off has always been that people creating content is what's powering the search engine. So that's giving it credibility, making those resources available. And law firms have historically taken advantage of this, right? They've created guides on the laws in their state, the things that they do. And this has allowed them to connect with people who are out there searching for mostly informational queries about how things are happening or why something is the way it is. And Google has put a giant dent in this by creating these AI overviews. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that at the end, but we'll kind of come back to how all of these things are kind of working together and then provide some insight as to how you can put yourself in the best position for 2025 and beyond. Let's kick things off with the site reputation abuse update. And this happened in May 2024, basically trying to stop what is called parasite SEO in the biz. And this is largely not a big deal for law firms. So the basis of this is that people are essentially exploiting a loophole in that Google has long prioritized websites that have a lot of authority. And so think about a website like Forbes, think about Facebook, any of these. They are linked to by millions of people, right? Different websites, different places everywhere. And so they have an enormous amount of authority. And so the process basically is that these websites get indexed more quickly. They have more authority. When they put out a piece of content, it's going to immediately go much, much higher in the rankings because of this inherent authority. So the idea generally is that Google more or less trusts these domains. And so the information on them is more valuable or more reputable than, say, you as a lawyer who is just starting their website, or it's only been up for a month and you get a couple hundred people per month, whereas they get millions of people every single month. And so probably the application for this for most law firms that is better is going to be thinking about the legal directories. So your FindLaws, your Avos, those type of websites would be considered the highest authority websites in the illegal space, right? And so if you've ever wondered why Google is putting these sites like FindLaw and others in the search results for your local attorney keywords, so criminal lawyer Omaha or Springfield, any of those, and you see some competitors, but you also see the FindLaws and the Avos. That's exactly what's happening here. And what the exploit is all about, or why this has changed, is that's been going on for a long time. But what is different now is that people are basically finding more websites, more authority websites who are willing to sell links and sell guest posts on their website. And so people like Forbes have, for a long time sold links to people like me who could go in and pay, a writer $3,000 or $6,000 to get a link placed on Forbes. Now, some of this is kind of covert and not necessarily probably something that, Forbes Central knows about, but it's happening. And so people started doing this to push affiliate products. So they were selling barbecue grills or pool cleaner or whatever on Amazon. And suddenly they're paying these websites. The Times of India is a kind of a notorious one, but you're paying to get on these websites and then you skyrocket in the rankings. And this has led to a lot of situations where people are arguably abusing this site reputation, the authority profile, and putting up content that really they have no business ranking for. Because if you go with the idea that Google main goal is to put out the people who are most authoritative, most knowledgeable, and generally giving you the best information because they have like hands-on experience and they're an authority or an expert in their field, what you've probably seen happening in your market is that now Forbes is ranking for terms like best criminal lawyer in Louisville or best personal injury lawyer in Atlanta, stuff like that. And so they figured out that, oh, well, we could, rank for all of these terms, right? So companies like Forbes and other companies are now creating all of this content that's essentially trying to sell stuff on Amazon. So it's basically affiliate SEO content where they're trying to sell things or they're trying to generate leads, for a local service type of thing. And so, you might be wondering, like, why would Forbes be interested in doing this? And it's a pure cash grab where, they have this authority and they realize they could put up content under any subject and they would be able to get to the first page really quickly and easily. So that's exactly what this is what's happening here. I don't really think law firms have to worry about this one too much, because this is really more about the affiliate side of it. Now, I am curious if this will in some ways, uh, benefit law firms by penalizing folks like FindLaw, Avo, others who are, putting these directory pages inside the local search rankings. Kind of remains to be seen. I haven't seen any signs of that, and I'm still a little skeptical of how much this reputation abuse update is actually going to do, because what I'll talk about later is that we're seeing the bigger trend, the bigger backdrop here with all of this is that Google's, I think, going to put more emphasis on the link building side or the page authority side of the equation, rather than how much content and the depth of content on someone's website. So not a huge concern there, but just definitely something to be aware of if you're trying to do parasite SEO and pay for a really expensive guest post on a page with the hope that you're going to outrank other people in your market for some of those key terms like auto accident lawyer LA or something like that. So okay, let's dive into the expired domain abuse update. And this, again, is not really a high impact issue for law firms. Really, what this is all about is folks buying expired domains that at once were websites that were active, thriving websites and had links, and so they have this authority. When you lose the registration for that, the links don't go away, and so you just have this like website entity out there that's maybe not active website, but that doesn't change the fact that if it had 1,000 links from other websites, those links are going to stay there. And so what people do is grab these at auction and then repurpose them and spin them up for something unrelated. Again, this is largely for affiliate websites. And these are people who are going to take the website and then try to turn it into a guide for barbecue grills or something like that. So again, this is really not a huge deal, but what I would think about is just asking your SEO provider to make sure they're not using expired domains in their process, such as link building and stuff like that, because I think there's more potential for 301s to be problematic. And I think something that I'm going to talk about in just a little bit is more about the importance of brand signals. And so I think when you are looking at this tactic, if you're either thinking about setting it up, repurposing the website, or just doing like a 301 redirect to your main site, it could potentially come with some baggage, because you're going to inherit all of the links and anchors from that website, which I've seen personally go against a website's authority, because you're basically confusing Google about what that website's all about. So avoid these and avoid, basically if we want to focus on getting natural, as much as you can, natural backlinks, or if you are going to buy them, go from a real varied sources, so that you're not creating these like really easily catchable type signals that Google's going to look for. So again, those two, not a big deal. Now let's get to scaled content abuse. This is maybe the most impactful item for lawyers in 2025. So scaled content abuse is AI writing. Okay. And just as a quick background, I'm not going to go through the whole saga of how this has played out over the past year, but Google went from, hey, don't use AI content on your websites, to, hey, if you're going to use AI content, just make sure it's really good and fact checked, and and all of that stuff, or limited use of it is okay, to now they just don't really care. And they are creating this. I mean, they arguably the biggest generator of AI content, with all of these AI overviews that have hit all of the search results that were in largely inaccurate, not really well done. I think they've gotten better since they initially rolled it out. But bigger point here is that at one point there was this concern that Google's not going to ranked content that's developed from AI. They had some sort of test that you could catch it by using these AI detectors and stuff like that. All of that has basically been proven to be just a big load of junk. Um, Google is, creating products like Gemini. They're allowing Gemini in their suite of Office tools like Docs, and allowing you to write content. So there's no real signal from Google that they're punishing pages written via AI, right? Um, where the distinction happens is this idea of scaled content abuse. And what that really means is creating spammy, super low touch, auto generated content, and really doing it at scale is the biggest issue where people are going to get in trouble because we've tested this, and there's really no way for these AI content detection tools to catch AI content. They will give you a report, but we've tested these and they're not reliable. We test them between AI generated content versus human content. It will often say the human content is the AI generated content. So I don't put any faith in those. I do think Google would be able to create a much better detection system for that. Uh, but it doesn't appear that that's what they're doing. So what it appears is happening is, they're basically punishing people who are doing it at a very high scale. This all played out earlier this year, or around May, when there was kind of this large scale attack or punishment of people who were out on social media talking about how they are getting rich doing scaled content. So they were setting up websites overnight with 10,000 pages, 100,000 pages, really, creating this low quality, high volume type of content. And that created some big problems for Google, into their search results, and also them as a business. First, they saw that people who were, creating 1,000-page websites could quickly establish topical authority, and so they were able to kind of game this system by creating all of this content. Google falsely identified them as a real expert on the topic, gave them ranking, and pushing out people who, maybe had more actual experience with this, but didn't have the volume of content that had been produced. So the overall issue here was generally the degradation of quality of those search results, right? And so their number one asset is the fact that people look to them as the undisputed leader of giving them answers, right? And so when you have a threat to giving your users quality answers, it's a problem. And the more they saw people ranking using this auto generated content that doesn't really have much much value to it, and it's essentially uh, reformatted, repopulated content from existing content on the web. There's no knowledge add, there's no real value add in a lot of ways to this content. Now, it can be created at a very high quality, but typically what I've seen is that the mass AI content where you're just plugging in a keyword and saying, go write me an article, is just as bad as if paid someone $5 to go write an article. It's there used to be spinners where you could kind of make it create tons of different versions of a page and stuff like that, and that's kind of what it equates to, is just very low value content. The other thing that impacted Google outside of this was that they are responsible for crawling thousands and thousands of pages, excuse me, billions of pages on the internet. And so when this thing kicked off, kind of like a bomb overnight, there was like millions and millions of new pages being created. This is puts an uh, uh, enormous amount of energy and resources. It requires that from Google to find all this information, classify it, organize it. That's all happening by their hardware, their servers going out there, finding all of this and doing all of that. And so, imagine just over the internet basically doubles overnight, and they are now tasked with going out and figuring out how all of that fits in with the current results, what should be rewarded, what's even out there, all of that stuff. And so they publicly, or not publicly, but it became public, put down a bunch of these creators and people who were, talking about how they were able to do this and the success they were having and stuff like that. And so, long story short, this is, mostly about people who are using content or using AI to create scaled content. It's not going to be a big deal if you use content, AI content in your website. But I'm going to talk about, the kind of the key takeaways and how you can actually learn from this and implement it, and what that means for your 2025 content strategy and overall just presence on the web. So let's get into some of the key takeaways for today. So with scaled content abuse, you are going to need to create above and beyond content if you want to be on top of the heap when it comes to law firms in your area. So what this means is focusing on creating high quality original content that is going to be above and beyond what anyone else is producing in your market. So don't think of AI as a problem that it means other people are going to be able to create a lot of content, but use it creatively to improve the quality of your content. So think about ways to improve copywriting. You can add resources that maybe wouldn't be available to you normally. You would have to go and find like somebody who can code or do things. You can create a calculator extremely easily on these tools and put that on the page, right? So instead of just this kind of basic Word document that you're putting on there, what can you do to add value, make it more creative, make it more interesting to where you are offering something that other people cannot. AI is an amazing tool for this because there's so many different tools coming out every single day that can do different parts of this. They can create images, they can create tables, pro and con lists, audio. They can turn your article into audio, into a podcast. I mean, it's really wild what's out there. And so my prediction with this is that the people who are out there and just clicking putting in a keyword, clicking a button, set it and forget it, are gonna get hit, and they're gonna be hit in the most negative way. And so think about how you can do this, and also think about how frequently you want to update this content. I would recommend a much more frequent updating schedule or optimization schedule than in previous years, because there's just it's easier to manipulate content. And I don't mean manipulate negatively. I just mean adjust it, add things, add value to it, because you have these tools available. And so with that, the best people are going to be out there. The most competitive folks who are using high quality SEO firms are going to be out there utilizing these tools to create higher value content. And so you need to keep up with that by utilizing these tools. And this is going to be a really important thing for 2025. So start thinking about it now. The final thing that I would add here is you want to start adding layers of social proof. What I mean by this is that there was a change, update a little while back called the EEAT, and it's all about expertise or experience, authority, trust. This goes hand in hand with this scaled content abuse, because what Google is trying to do is find actual authorities, find actual experts, and they don't have a perfect way to do this. They don't know if you are truly an expert if you just put up a web page compared with the person who has no legal expertise and they click a button to create the page. So they have to figure out how to measure that. And one of the things that you can do with that is whether or not you have these elements on your website. So when it comes to social proof, I'm talking about reviews, I'm talking about accreditations, awards, anything like that, experiential information about how long you've done it, any success you've had at it, and then third party or user generated information about that. Layer that throughout the website. Don't have it just on your homepage. Have it inside of your practice area pages with specific reviews related to that practice area. So go above and beyond what others may be doing and add a review about that specific case type. Maybe you can go and get an interview with a previous client. Start thinking about, again, how to 10x or how to go above and beyond anyone else in the market, because we don't know exactly what exactly they're looking for, but we do know that they review these pages, and if there are not signals like this, it can be detrimental, or they can rank other people above you. This goes hand in hand with the importance of growing your website's authority in 2025 as a law firm. So going back to this idea of social proof and how do you distinguish yourself against other law firms or other content out there on the web, links play an enormous part of this, and that is what grows into, or what was the main piece of website authority. So with all of this AI content and the ability to create scaled content, billions of pages, when it becomes that easy to do basic content production, then other things have to raise in importance for Google to effectively sort and categorize and rank content on the web. And so the thing that has always been there, in addition to the quality of the content and the topical authority of the content, is links. So it's your website's authority. And so we've seen this. It's kind of this dance that goes on, back and forth throughout the year and over years, where it looks like maybe content's more important and is having a bigger impact in the search results, and then it swings back to links, and then it goes back and forth. And these are two things that have remained stable ever since Google created their search engine and this idea of page rank, which is assessing the value of these pages. And so what I believe is going to happen now is that since content production is so easy, links are going to become hugely important. You need to focus on getting legal related links and also local links in your area, and then add into that citations, and basically getting your business information visible across the internet so that you can create truly a brand that has visibility everywhere. Now, you might be thinking, or think back to the second portion of this, or first portion, where we're talking about site reputation abuse. I would say like 99.9% of law firms are never going to have to worry about this, because the average law firm website, their authority is never going to be more than like 50. And those are really, like, I would say, high-end websites. You are never going to get on the level of like a Facebook or a Forbes.com or these massive newspapers and news media outlets that really are the target of this abuse. And so with that in mind, I believe that there will be more of an importance on this site authority piece, because we're seeing it play out, and that the people with better link profiles, more links, more aggressive link building are the ones that are getting results in this current climate. Brand building is also going to be a very important piece for law firms in 2025. So brand building, to me, doesn't necessarily mean so much focused on the positioning, the wordsmithing. I think that's important, but really what I'm talking about is digital brand building. So for me, this means being everywhere on the internet. In addition to evaluating your website and your presence based on the link profile, your website's authority, they're also looking across the internet for other signals. They want other kind of independent signals that verify, okay, you're a person of importance, or you are an entity that is not just siloed in this one area, because that is the biggest way that they have figured out to clamp down on these content mills, is that when you create a website with 10,000 pages, you have no real experience in like the legal field, but you're creating all this content and it looks good enough, right? How do they know that that's not as good as a actual law firm? They've figured out that these niche content websites where it's somebody at the computer building these out, they don't really have a real brand. They are not on Facebook. They're not on YouTube. They don't have a Google business profile. All of these things are going into kind of another authority metric or matrix that is affirming the link building that's going on the website. So it's really hard to fake this. You can, but it's beyond what a lot of people are willing to do. And so I predict that there will be an increase in the importance of signal producing platforms like YouTube. So Google owns YouTube. It makes a ton of sense that they would be looking at this platform to see whether or not you also have a presence there, whether or not you're actively creating content. And so one of the big shifts we're going to make as a business in 2025 is certainly continuing to push SEO hard, but we're going to think about where else can we build digital real estate for ourselves and for our clients. The final prediction I have for 2025 is that pay-per-click prices are going to absolutely skyrocket for law firms. So we need to be thinking about what are some of the strategies that we can use to replace this historically low cost, high quality traffic coming to the website. So why is this happening and why do I think it's going to happen? The biggest thing out of this whole podcast that I want you to pay attention to is Google's AI overviews and the introduction of AI in these search results. The reason why this is so important is that lawyers have historically developed topical authority on their website by creating a ton of content that is focused on their practice areas. It's going to be beyond just their practice pages. They're creating content about guides to misdemeanors or accidents and all sorts of this stuff. That has been a kind of a secret weapon for a lot of law firms because these pages don't produce a high proportion of leads, of high quality leads, but they do produce leads, somewhere like 10-15% from what we've seen compared to what we would call like money pages or target pages, which are more transactional in nature. It's going to be somebody searching auto accident lawyer near me, best bankruptcy lawyer in Tupelo. Those are your transactional searches where Google is not doing their AI overviews. But then you get to something like, what are the penalties for a misdemeanor in Alabama? Those have historically been served by law firms writing about that content, and they get that traffic and ultimately can get leads from that. Now with Google doing the AI overviews, they're basically replacing you. They are basically putting themselves above you, summarizing your content and allowing the person not to even have to go to the website. And so previously, you at least had the opportunity to try and convert that person by getting them on your website, finding the information they know, and thinking, yeah, maybe I should reach out for a consultation or at least ask for some more information. They have effectively removed your ability to do that. Now, we are seeing that since the beginning of this, the rollout of the AI overviews, they're now shifting to where they're actually citing people in those AI overviews, and so maybe it's helping. It's getting a little bit of information or a little bit of your placement back, but still, if people get their question answered, which I think Google's trying to do, probably not going to go onto your website. And so we think that's going to have a solid impact on your ability to get traffic, do things like retargeting, and ultimately with the lead volume, it's going to take a hit. And so you should start thinking about some strategies to reproduce that low cost or no cost traffic. And we have some strategies we're already cooking up to deal with this. And if you want to hear more about those, please give me a shout, Patrick at goconstellation.com, or you can go to our website, goconstellation.com. we'll be happy to talk about these, which we're not releasing publicly because we want to give our clients every advantage possible. But we are thinking about this gigantic shift, and one of the things we're going to cover over the next few weeks is the new search engines from OpenAI, Perplexity, how there is for the first time a real shift in potential user behavior for how they go out and search for information, where they're searching for it. And we are going to be on top of that. We are going to lead, where other law firm marketing agencies are going to kind of stand pat on what they've been doing for the last 5-10 years, because this is a seismic shift. And if you don't take advantage of it or don't stay on the front foot with this, you're going to get left behind. The other thing to keep in mind here is that you want to start testing alternative platforms for pay-per-click. You're going to have to change from just a single shot, bottom of the funnel type advertising campaign to including that, where I think it's still going to be important and super valuable. But I think you're going to have to start playing around with other platforms where people are going to get these questions answered that you were previously getting traffic from. And so think about other ways that you can recreate this traffic, but you're probably going to have to pay for it by utilizing platforms like Reddit or TikTok or other areas like YouTube, where people are going to get this deep information about the topics that you are the expert on. So a lot has changed, but I think the core thing to remember here is that if you continue to do SEO the right way, which is building links in a measured process or at a measured frequency from good sources, and you create content on your website that is of high quality, that really tries to help the end user, you are going to continue to see benefit. Of course, there's always a lot that goes into this and a ton of details that we're going to kind of integrate and test as we move into the new year. But if you are just someone who is wanting to, do it yourself and create good content for your website and get some traffic through there, just keep doing the basics, right? Keep creating good content, update it frequently as much as possible. When there are updates, or you can think of better ways to improve it, just think about it as this ongoing project that you want to dedicate some time to every single month, and you're going to be in a lot better shape than 90% of other law firms out there. That's it for today. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Optimized Law Firm podcast. And if you need any help, guidance, ideas for your own law firm, please hit me up. GoConstellation.com. I'd be more than happy to help you out, because at the end of the day, this podcast and our business at Constellation Marketing is all about helping you build a more profitable and enjoyable law firm that you can take advantage of and not worry about where your next case is coming from. All right, thanks, and have a great day.